In the 1950s, there was a dude named Mike Todd. Mike Todd was a Broadway producer seduced by Cinerama, a cumbersome 3-camera widescreen format. He then saw CinemaScope and was impressed, but he said, that shit's grainy compared to Cinerama. Cinerama makes me come. So he and a bunch of other dudes that are much smarter than I set out to make a widescreen system keeping the scale and sharpness of Cinerama while also just using a single anamorphic lens. The result was a 65mm, 6 perforated, though sometimes I've seen 5, and a lot of the examples I've seen online show 5, film format that could also be blown up to 70mm film, while also having a crisp audio track. It's all really confusing, actually. But this process being 6 perforations instead of your standard 4 perforations for regular 35mm film made the image much sleeker, cleaner, and just all around pretty. And the first Todd-AO systems were actually rendered at 30 FPS instead of your standard 24. Todd thought it would reduce flickering and give a much cleaner image, which it did, while requiring more light, but this is why we have a problem with its first 2 movies. In comes the executives. Yo, Mike, you do realize that standard anamorphic film projectors can't do 30 FPS, right? Or even shoot 70mm. Nonsense! Keep it 30 FPS for no fucking reason at all. In comes Oklahoma. This entire movie, its dance sequences, its sound, its everything, was done twice. We warned you, Mike Todd. They shot it once using the Todd-AO process at 30 FPS, which is now available on Blu-ray, and they also shot it again using CinemaScope 35mm 24 FPS, either with the same camera moves or even filming the same sequences together with the 2 cameras side by side. It's really interesting comparing the differences between the 2 versions. The Todd-AO version is much slicker and also has more peripherals that are often quite distorted due to the nature of anamorphic lenses, while the CinemaScope cut is often wide in presentation, but captures the performances of the actors better. But this played hell with the movie making its money back. Essentially, you're spending triple your budget. Once on the actual film itself, one on shooting it again in CinemaScope, and then finally distributing the film. That's a pretty big penny in any concept, including today. The executives basically said, I got it! Because we spent so much money on that Todd-AO version, who played in a few theaters we can do with 30 FPS for about a year, and then release the CinemaScope version to the general populace. But sir, don't you lose risk of the public losing interest in the film by then? Shut up, Jimmy! I know what I'm doing! Turns out the executive dude was right, because Oklahoma was a smash hit, especially with the CinemaScope releases. But this proved to be quite cumbersome. Todd-AO is much more expensive than 35mm film, but damn does it look good. So they decided to make their next project Around the World in 80 Days after the success of Walt Disney's 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea. See how things all tie together here? Oh, terrible pun, Adam. Just awful. Mike Todd was like, okay, so we shoot it all in Todd-AO, but let's shoot it both in 30 FPS and 24 FPS. But why not just shoot in regular 24 PS? That's... I said 30 FPS and 24 FPS! Oh my god, I'm so sorry! So that's what they did. Doing the same thing as Oklahoma, but using just Todd-AO. This way, your more general theaters can play one version, and your more uppity theaters can play the 30 FPS version. And the movie made a lot of money. A lot of money. Todd, we gotta stop using 30 FPS. It's costing us big time, and we like money. But 30 FPS is the best FPS. It's the true FPS. We're just using 24 FPS from now on. No! I want 30 FPS. 24 FPS, or we ditch you and develop something else. Okay, 24 FPS it is. And thus shooting a movie twice came to a rapid end. And then comes Tommy Wiseau.